AHAT, a lay flat, and all that. It's your boy OD. I'm here with the legendary, world-renowned Mr. Cartoon, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk to him about what's going on in LA as far as the George Floyd situation and the protests go. We're gonna touch up on his Netflix special, the documentary called LA Originals, and then we're gonna just talk to him and see how the quarantine has affected his business and everything. So how you doing, Mr. Cartoon?
I'm doing great, man. I'm grateful to be here on your show. Grateful to be alive. You know what I'm saying? We really got it good compared to a lot of suffering that's going around us right now.
Right, right, and I'm glad you brought that up, man. Let's touch on the George Floyd situation real quick, and in particularly L.A. Like, what's going on in L.A. that you could see, and tell us a little bit about it.
Well, in LA, police brutality seemed to be at its peak in the 90s. Out of the late 80s, it was getting out of control. And in LA, everyone started shaving their heads, you know what I mean? And that just put a straight up gangster image to anybody that had a bald head that was Latino or even black, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It looked like you just got out of prison or a youth authority or something. So the cops would
Yeah.
swoop on us military style, and we
Mm.
kind of got used to the knee on the back of our neck. Like, they would kind of kick your ass without punching you in the face. They have other techniques, and but you know what? Then on the other hand, I would let cops would let me go, catch
Okay.
me with the strap and let me go. So like,
Mm.
I can't understand some of that. You know what I'm saying?
Like the inconsistencies, huh?
Yeah, yeah. They're like, one's real cool, helps you out, but most of them tend to be bullies and tend to give you a hard time.
Right, and no, so now we had that George Floyd, the murder,
Mm,
and um,
man.
like what's going on with the protests? I mean, I see like it's a lot of people out there. It seems like it might be calming down now that putting charges on all four cops. What? How do you see it?
Yeah, it's I'm kind of watching it like most of you from TV, but seeing the outside when you go to the store or whatever, it started getting really crazy with the riots. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? So if you fuck with us long enough, something's gonna get broke, something's gonna get busted up. People are gonna stand up, shake the rattle the cage for people to notice. As far as fools looting, I mean, that's kind of goes hand in hand with it. It's like graffiti, beautiful graffiti of
Hey, I lost you for a second, Mr. Cartoon.
a bathroom.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
It cut off for a second. It's back on. Go ahead.
you know, when it comes to looting and rioting, it's kind of like your cousin, your evil, your dark, your gangster cousin. You know what I mean? Like doing a beautiful graffiti mural. There's your homeboy he's tagging on the side of a church, or if you're low riding, your cousin's an active gang member, and you have all these things that are kind of together, right? It's hard to do one without the other. So, do I think people should be looting small businesses? Hell no, I got a small business.
Right.
Don't fuck up our shit. But I think over the years they're like, you know what? We're gonna go and tear up Beverly Hills. Unfortunately, the Fairfax got twisted up with it, which is a lot of mom and pop young guys having businesses. But
Right.
most of the homies were protecting their businesses. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for real. I done seen it. Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword, man. I think that police brutality is out of control. I'm not down with tearing up mom and pop shops, but if everyone's got to ride on the walls and stand up against the cops, someone's got to do it. It's just really, really hard, and I'm watching it from the comfort of my living room, so I can't speak too crazy, but I definitely don't agree with the prison reform needs to happen, and they need to teach police how to talk to people. Send them to fucking business classes at school. Show them how to have a mouthpiece, man. It goes a long way.
Right. Yeah, like that. That's what really needs to come out of this. You got the police reform, you got the mass incarceration that needs to be addressed,
Mm-hmm.
and there needs to be, in my opinion, there needs to be something because that penalizes cops a little more when they do dirty stuff, because they said the cop that was actually on George Floyd's knee was accused of prior negative things, and he's still a policeman.
Yeah.
Like, they got to be
doing all that.
Yeah, like, it ain't new. He's been doing it. He got a track record of it. So you got to have some type of reform so they could get those people, make them sit behind the desk or something.
Yeah, if the police got more involved in the community, like, let's throw lowrider night on Sundays. Every Sunday, we're going to do it together. We're going to lowride. We're going to have fun. We're going to hit switches. We're going to be out there. And they do sometimes. The cops out here been letting us lowride. They'll close it down eventually, and everyone's like, "Fuck the pigs!" But they let us lowride for 6 hours.
Oh, that's
donuts on the street and shit. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
There's some of them willing to work with us if we can come together and find things. We want our people from our community becoming police officers because they understand us.
Right.
So, yeah. They got most of the work to do, of course, but we could think of creative ways to bring people together, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, it needs to be more community outreach, like what you're saying, and definitely more of our people involved in police departments. Sure. And not just that, like education and politics too, because that's where a lot of these systemic problems come from.
Sure.
Yeah,
and if they had more options, you know, if it was up to me, I'd have a university that taught pinstriping, gold leaf, auto upholstery, auto stereo installation, candy paint jobs, murals, you know, show people how to design clothes, like shit that we can do that we're good at.
Right.
But, you know, of course, we put music in on all that, but there's a lot of opportunity. We live in the greatest place in the world as far as that goes. People come from all over different third world countries to come and get our problems, you know?
Right. Yeah, exactly, man. So yeah, I appreciate you addressing that with me. So let's get to like one of the main reasons that I wanted to holler at you, because you got that Netflix documentary called LA Originals. Everybody, if you haven't seen it yet, make sure you go to Netflix and you check out LA Originals. So how did that actually come about? Did Esteban want to do that, or what was it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, this documentary is about myself and my best friend Esteban Orio, who's a photographer, and he was a road manager for Cypress Hill in the 90s in House of Pain. And we were just two, you know, knuckleheads hanging out, and he just started filming what we were doing.
Right.
He was like, "Oh man, this is crazy," and no one else back then. Not everyone had a professional camera on their phone.
Right.
You had to carry a nice camera, you know.
Yeah.
And he was just able to capture it from the inside, not like some square from the outside trying to capture some Crips in LA or something. You know, it was like if one of the homies would have picked up the camera and shot from inside the garage out, you know. So it's a lot of inside, not just about us, it's about the culture, West Coast culture, hip hop culture, how we kind of got influence from East Coast bombing and rapping and hip hop, and then put a West Coast twist on it. And our climb kind of making this genre that hadn't been really thought. Most of the time, the people that did our art form were in a prison cell, in a hotel, in someone's garage, in a kitchen somewhere, you know, next to the strip bar, you know. So it was like real lowbrow art form, blue collar art, like macho art, you know.
Right.
And I came up doing murals on lowriders, and I got lucky enough. I met Eazy E. I approached him. I gave him my business card. I was all nervous, and he ended up giving me merch to do, like tour merch designer. And I would do. I did MC Ren's album cover. You know, all these things started to snowball. Like, I didn't think I can go beyond that.
Where did you meet him at? Where did you meet Eazy E at?
I met Eazy at a car wash, man.
Oh, okay.
I seen him at a car wash, and I was trying to explain to my father, you know, who he was and how important, you know, this album was, and blah, blah, blah. And it was 1992, the riots, it just, you know, everything was just on fire. It was a lot of emotion going on. Right. And I ended up doing artwork for his t-shirt graphics, like him with the buildings burned up behind him.
Right.
If you watch that MC Ren video, his first one shows me in the Lolo in there. It's old school stuff, but
okay.
in a weird way, I was in the music business. I did a logo for DJ Quick, and then I did one for High C and like local LA rappers. And then Cypress Hill was my first like platinum group that I did. And Stevan was road manager, so I just went on tour with them.
Man, yeah.
It was insane.
When you met Eazy E, like how did you approach him? What was you?
Well, I approached him the first time. I introduced myself. I had my little business card, man. It's funny. I still got a picture of that business card, but I told him I do murals, you know, I do logos, and he was like, okay, kind of like gave me an autograph as a fan, you know. And I walked away like, oh man, I said the wrong shit. I probably said something stupid, you know. I beat myself up. He didn't even freaking remember my ass, right?
Right.
2 years later, I found out he lived in the neighborhood. And he, you know, he had 10 houses, right? So he found one in like Norwalk, in a suburban area. Right. And he posted up and he'd have a house right there. And I walked up to him, man. Once he got pulled up in my lowrider to his house.
Yeah.
He goes,
he was outside?
He was inside. Knocked on the door.
Oh, man.
2 twin Samoans, you know. They hadn't really come up with the word stalking. I didn't look at it stalking because I wasn't out there watching them on that, but it was a little aggressive now that I look at it, like to knock on the man's door, you know?
Right.
But prior to the cellular age, you know, you had to approach her. You want to talk to a girl, you got to walk up to her and ask her her name and her number, you know?
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
So that similar approach of not like selling vacuums and shit. I knocked on the door and I said, I'm an artist. My name is Cartoon. And he goes, what's your artwork look like? I go, I got it on the hood of my car. He walked out, looked at the hood of my car, said, call me tomorrow.
Damn.
He took me to Jack the Rapper in Atlanta for anybody over 40 that might know who Jack the Rapper is.
I heard about that. Jack the Rapper actually used to work at my station, Power 88, so I'm familiar.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Cool. So from there, him looking at your car, your mural on there, and then the next day, what happened that next day?
He just started flowing me work and taking me around to the Virgin record label or Ruthless Records, and man, let's go hit the mall. And we bone out to the mall, do shit like that. And you just see like he was a regular street dude that had a vision, and he just seen the big picture, man, and he wasn't scared to do shit. So I at least seen that he was a human being, because when you watch people on TV and you just see them from afar and you're a fan, you see maybe they got like special powers or they got some extra shit, but he's just a regular street guy, man. So that was like the best motivation for me that I could do something if he did it.
Right.
You know? So that's kind of what this documentary is. Stevan capturing this moment when hip-hop and tattooing collided, where prior tattoos were done more like by biker guys or like cholos that listen to oldies, you know what I mean?
Or rock and roll stars,
or
like that.
Like punk rock guys, rocker type guys, right?
Right.
So the style hadn't really been collided yet till I start, I started really chipping away at it, you know what I mean?
Right.
There might have been other fools doing it too, but for our circle, we hadn't seen it. So it was important to put the letters more 3D, to have the character bigger and blow the face from being little to his whole arm to make it an eye buster. That's where the hip hop came in, that and the music we listen to, the way we dress, the way we approach life. Is that more of like, cholo, but a hip hop b-boy in his head too, you know?
Right. How did you know that it was a good idea to go from the murals to the tats? Like, what was the thing that kind of said, man, I got to get on these tats?
That's a good question. Doing murals, only certain people want a mural on an Impala. First of all, you got to own a show car Impala, right? So that narrows it down. Mm-hmm. And then, so you do enough of those and they take a long time. They're very tedious work. There's pearls and candies, and you got to freehand everything. It's just so time consuming, man, that, I had other art forms. I knew how to mural a wall, or I knew how to design clothing and do different. I started off just airbrushing T-shirts to swap me, like the very entry level bottom of the shit. And I loved it, man. I think that was the difference. Is I loved it, and I just did it for free. I just did it to do it. I had to do it. Had to be done.
Right.
And eventually it turned into a career. But I mean, I took my street name. Cartoon was my street name when I was a kid, you know. And I didn't think of it. It was like, oh, it would be good for marketing purposes and this and that. And
right,
Mr. Cartoon,
yeah.
that sounds like a brand, you know.
Right.
We didn't know any of those words, you know what I'm saying?
How did you, that brings up a good point I wanted to ask you. Like, where did your name come from? I know you drew cartoons probably, but what made you decide to make that your name, or how did it come about?
It was either that or I think Striker was on the table. You know what I'm saying? Like a writer name, you know what I mean? A lefty was taking, you know, this sniper. I wasn't a sniper, so you know, I wasn't boxer, so all these names, like everyone had a street name because no one wanted to be called by their government name, their Christian name, you know. That's how you clown somebody. You know what I mean? Like his name's Gangster, and you find out his name's like Larry or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, shut up, Larry. You know, you have a hard time. You know, they use it against you. You know, nothing wrong with the name Larry, but it's a common name. You build someone up, and then it's almost like this image in our heads that we're acting older than we are, tougher than we really are. And my friends gave me that name, and then you got to fight them afterwards. So then I was like, shit, all that, I might as well hold on to it, you know?
Right, yeah, for real. I could dig that. All right, I got a question for you.
Right.
What is your most expensive tat that you've done so far? What was it, and how much did it cost?
Well, you know, it's not polite to reveal prices, but I can say that Travis Scott recently did a giant piece on his back and knocked it out the park. And,
okay.
You know, I don't want to speak on the. Well, the funny part is, no matter how much I charge, they're gonna have the tattoo longer than I'm gonna have the money.
That's true.
That's guaranteed.
Is that one? Hey, is that one of your sale pitches?
That's one of my sales pitches. That the cartoon guarantee.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That you'll definitely hold it longer than.
Yeah, because bad tattoos are known to like fade, right?
Yeah, well, you know, it's something that you take to the box. This is something that is as close to spiritual as I'm going to get, is the concept of, you know, putting your culture and your lifestyle and your sacrifice and your dedications and your family name and your area you grew up and everything about you that makes you you. I'm going to put that in your skin, and you're going to take it to jail or to Europe, wherever you want to go. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's going to go with you. And it's weird that we put a price tag on that type of shit. You know what I mean? Because there's so much expression. And like you asked earlier, like, where was that change from me, from doing murals on cars? When I just started getting tattoos, and I got infatuated with the culture and just living in a tattoo shop, the smell of the green soap. And it was like a grown man's art form, where a lot of times art it could be a little bit soft, you know what I'm saying? Like sitting there and drawing roses, all that. But with tattoos, this shit just hardens it and makes it way more street, and it's more grown person shit. So more people want tattoos. If I sit there on Las Vegas Strip, I can find 10 people that either want their tattoo fixed or they want their name or something. But trying to find people to do lowrider murals now, that's a harder thing to find out of that crowd, you know?
Right, yeah, I see. So it's something that's more, you have a broader audience. It's for the masses more, kind of.
Yeah, and who would have known that it was going to blow up like this?
Right.
When I was going hard, it wasn't this, where like crazy celebrity. We started doing that shit. I'm not the first one to tattoo celebrities, but we started to get to the point where we were doing a lot of interviews about it and talking about it. We politic and go places and doing, like, push that forward instead of just staying in the shop, which is a tattooer's mentality a lot of times, and not doing clothing collabs and shit, you know?
Right.
We didn't even really know what that was back then. Because tattooers are like, just tattoo and that's it. Don't get watered down. Don't get distracted by others. So where nowadays it's more open. Now it'll never be the same. These kids going to art school, they're gonna become dope tattoo artists, and they see my ass and they're like, I'm gonna do collab too. Mine's gonna look like, so they can. It's the blueprint's getting laid out.
Right, yeah, that's dope. All right, so this is like a business question. It's specifically for you, but you know, a lot of us could learn from your answer. So you're doing these tattoos, you're like, you know, the OG at the tattoos, especially in LA, but everybody comes to you to get tattoos. Like, how did you start learning how to price what you were doing? Because you're doing it so much better than the corner shop that does tattoos. Sure. They charging like $100, but you're charging a lot more. I know that. So how did you realize the value of your tattoos, kind of, so to speak?
That's a great question. Tattooing and pricing has always been kind of backwards to me. I would work for a label and I would do a logo for a band, and let's just say it's time I would get $5,000. And then they want you to do this complex tattoo on this person who's moving, and they've been drinking a little bit, and they think they know it all, and I gotta do 10 times the work on it, and I get $500. Like, this is kind of backwards over here. Like, who's been pricing this shit? And then you look around sometimes at the shop, and you're like, okay, I see why they price that, because there's nowhere cool for your lady to sit down. They're not going to offer her a Fiji water. They're not going to give her a menu. You want to order some coffee or DoorDash some food here. Right. There's no AC in the shop. You know, I've worked at some hard to rough shops, you know. Right. I've worked at some nicer shops, you know. But a lot of times it matches your environment. So I went to a loft. Right off the bat. After I did like my apprentice, I learned how to tattoo. I didn't want to open up a shop to compete against those guys. I want to distance myself from the tattoo world, if you will, as far as the pricing and that hardcore culture where, like, you're not sure, you might get slapped in the face in the shop in some of the spots. You know what I'm saying? It's not the customer is right. It's not the customer is right. It's the customer might get kicked in the ass.
It's like going to death row back in the day, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. People got paid for tattoos and just got a knuckle sandwich instead, you know. Yeah. But so from that culture, I wanted to not make it too sheeshy, flowery, and like soft, but I want to find that middle ground where you're comfortable. You're already going to be nervous because you're getting a tattoo. You already been either, you know, getting your chippers together, or your wife wants to redo the kitchen. You're like, nah, I need this tattoo, man. You know, you're stressed out. I want to make it comfortable for you to be in that environment. So I just took what I didn't like and changed what I could. And I tried to, instead of 100, I tried to charge 1,000, but then make up for it to where, like, you walk away feeling like you stole something. Like, you should probably send me a tip in the mail. I feel so guilty. That's how I want people to leave, feeling that they got over and not got done in, you know?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me read some of the comments in the chat room real quick. All right. David Johnson, he said, I used to draw when I was young. I went to foster homes. People kept stealing my artwork. I wish I stuck with it. Yeah, you got to stick with it, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People steal your shit all the time.
Right.
You just got to be on the next.
Mm-hmm. Who has his best work in portrait or a tat? Who has your best work that you believe?
I would say a name maybe that's not known to a lot is Jonathan Quick, who's the goalie from Kings. He, he's a known person, but he has a full back piece, full sleeves, and you don't see it under all that hockey gear. You know what I mean? So a lot of these guys they're very quiet, but they're consistent. They just keep coming and keep getting work. As far as, like, say, a rapper would go, Prodigy from Mobb Deep, he had a big back piece of an Uzi I did on the back, giant Uzi.
Oh, okay.
That Mobb Deep here, and his throat was like angels and devils whispering in his ear, and all that shit was pretty crazy.
Right. Okay. Let me see. There's one more thing I wanted to read. Somebody they in here, Kelly, she said you're a legend. And then she said, is it her? Yeah, she said, has anybody from Make-A-Wish ever asked you for a tattoo?
No, they haven't. But I think the Make-A-Wish, are they a lot of them younger, right? They might be
Yeah,
kids
I
or
think they
something.
might be too young, maybe like
Yeah, and usually
elementary
like
school.
tattooing maybe, and like if they're under like blood thinner or they have some type of they're going,
Oh, through certain
obviously they're
medications.
yeah they're on medications and they might even need to with an IV is what I was trying to say.
Right.
Tattooing discouraged in those areas, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of tattooing is going to change with the COVID stuff. Everything's going to be re-examined, and way more sterile.
Oh yeah, they might change some
And,
of the practices and requirements in there, huh? How you guys clean instruments or something, maybe.
yes, I mean tattooing's already. We have to deal with the health department. We take blood pathogen courses. We have to stay up on cross contaminations, and now the world is starting to learn about cross contamination, which is don't shake someone's hand and then scratch your eye. Once you touch this, you touch that, you're contaminating, and you're learning how to kind of work backwards and pay attention where you put your hands in your face, and
Right.
you know what I'm saying. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to study that. Tattoo shops are probably the more knowledgeable and clean than some doctors I've been to. So
Wow.
we're on the high end as far as sterilization and being clean goes, very conscious.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we'll probably, for our own protection, have to come out looking more like a surgeon.
Okay, that's what's up. Yeah. All right. David Johnson, he said, or no, Kelly said Austin, Texas rocks with me and Cartoon Heavy, so they showing you some love. All
So
right, before we get out of here, I want to ask you one more thing. So we kind of touched on it a little right there, but now that we're in quarantine, like how has that affected how you're currently conducting your business, like with your tattoos, or it really hasn't affected you because the way your shop is or whatever? How has it affected you?
well, I think everyone's affected somehow. I got a gang of gigs canceled where I was supposed to put one of my lowriders on a boat and take it ship and take it to Hong Kong.
Oh
And,
man.
Hong Kong went nuts, so all that got canceled. We're gonna do Art Basel in Hong Kong, so
Woo.
that got canceled. This movie, uh, LA Originals, was supposed to debut at South by Southwest in Austin. So
Oh.
that's a huge honor to even be asked to debut there. So we
Right.
that got canceled. So we're like, oh man, like everything seemed to be going kind of wrong. But
Right.
like I've said in the doc, I'm an optimist. So I'm gonna find some solution or some type of way out of this.
Right.
But then the COVID hit, and we were like, damn, like I did not. My friends in Thailand and Australia and London are hitting me saying that they're locked down, like the whole world was shut down. I
Right.
knew it was real right there. But then the dock dropped by no real planning of our own. It just dropped like on the worst week of the death toll, where everyone was at home. So
Right.
fortunately, something positive coming out of a huge negative. A lot of families affected by this. A lot of frontline workers, firemen, police. A lot of people died. Can you imagine burying your family member in this time, like just going to the supermarket's a mission, more or less,
Right.
losing your loved one. So it was a hard time to celebrate in a weird way, because we I'm an artist, so I'm supposed to be in isolation. I'm supposed to be social distancing to get my work done. What I do doesn't require being around the public other than tattooing. So all tattooing has stopped. But I haven't tattooed since March 1st. So
Dang. Okay.
that's why it's important that people have different tools in their chests. You gotta have multiple things to fall back on. So when
Right.
something stops completely, you don't stop.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
why you never utter the words "I'm bored." throw that out of your vocabulary. You're not. My kids aren't allowed to say it in the house, because that means you just give up on thinking. So if you've got everything figured out, then you could be bored, because I'm just giving them a hard time. You know what I'm saying? But in other words, don't use that terminology. Like, focus on what else could I do. Like, this is forcing me now. This is the rainy day everyone's been told you to save for. It's pouring right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for real.
So we just got to stretch, man. Like right now, I'm working on animation. I'm going way out my box. I'm having to make my characters move, write, produce, music. You know, I've got help. I've got a team, fortunately.
Right.
But I'm at the bottom of the animation world. I'm starting with a little bit of a head start, but I haven't done 20 movies. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I've done little animation here, little animation here. I've been doing it over here, like chipping away, but never fully, because it's scary. Like, you got to do something you're not great at yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're good at elements of it, but putting it all together, putting it to the world, getting them to identify and respond with it. That's the challenge.
Yeah, you got to get out of your comfort zone, and that's actually when you do the most learning, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are you at animation? Like, what are you working on? You trying to get a cartoon, or you?
Yeah. I have several projects I'm shopping, you know?
Oh, okay.
We've been doing it for some time, preparing. So with this documentary, I got the ears of people now.
Right.
Starving for content.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a righteous animation team behind me to, you know, it's still a mountain of work, man. There's no shortcuts to this shit.
Right.
No shortcuts. It's how hard you are. That's why you got to love what you do, because it's so much hard work.
I agree.
You know?
All right. Before we wrap up here, I just got one more question. This is my last question.
Yeah.
I seen when I was looking, I just looked it up online to look at a couple things, and I looked at the LA originals, and it said in one place it said it's a documentary, and then another place it said a docu-series. So is there more episodes to come, or was that just a one-off thing?
We sold a one-off gig, because we had to convince them to do that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we've been shopping it for 10 years. People just
What?
They didn't see it, bro. They didn't see it.
Oh, man.
And then finally, Esteban hooked up with a company from Argentina that does Netflix South America, and they had already been producing movies. So we got it through there, but Netflix is Netflix. So even though the South America took the credit, it's still Netflix dropped it worldwide. So my boys in Thailand and other parts of the world, Brazil, everyone was like, "Oh, what's going on?" You know. So that was really cool, man. And in a weird way, we do this for all the up and coming artists, man. For all the homies sitting in a jail cell that'll never get out. Good, righteous, solid motherfuckers, man. That I would love to have in the president box over who's on there right now. These guys, we do it not to be cocky, but we do keep them in mind for this. You know what I mean? When we do design a Cortez, or we do have this collaboration drop that we're not supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're doing these Topps baseball cards, like being able to do, you know, Jackie Robinson or you know, these icons. That we don't take that stuff for granted. You know,
right.
And we try to do outreach to back it up, right? So let's just say we do something with Nike, we'll bring in a half a dozen kids, art students to like at-risk youth, juveniles, you know, and try to tell them, we do a free seminar for them. You know, I don't get paid, they don't get paid. We just all get in the set, and I just like share my shit. Kind of what we're doing right now.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's the community outreach that we was talking about. So yeah, that's lovely that you doing that. And you know, I love everything you doing out there, man. You helping bring the black and brown together, promoting positive, promoting, coming up, staying, working hard at your craft and everything. You know, I see you diversifying with everything you doing, man. And the perseverance you just mentioned with the documentary, how y'all had to, you was pushing it for 10 years, y'all said?
Yep.
Dang.
Yeah, we were ready to drop it 10 years ago, and it almost came out. And things happen, man. Like it's I wouldn't use the word a struggle, because it's more of like what Nipsey said, like a marathon. You want to just like keep chipping away at it as you go. You know, people like you said, black and brown, like Snoop Dogg stepping in, Big Tweet, people that are in the community that get respected. You know, just our conversation. You know what I'm saying? We want to motivate, educate, get these youngsters hyped, get our own community. We all stick together. We could do this amongst ourselves, you know. And there's some craziness going. We're in a movie right now, man. This is straight history. Our kids will tell it to their kids, and I really wouldn't want to be any other time, you know. I love 50s and 60s Impalas. Wouldn't want to be a minority in that time.
Right, me neither. I'm
Segregation,
with you.
real racism, real racism. You know, like we're seeing a smidge right now what they had to go through. So shout out to our forefathers, you know.
Yeah, definitely, man. Salute to you and everybody that's on your team and everything. Let everybody know how they could get in contact with you.
Man, you can go to mrcartoon.com, Mr. C Tunes on the Instagram. Look up the Soul Assassins, my crew, Soul Assassins Radio on Sirius, Shade 45, Heat Gang. Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up, man. I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, Omar.
All right, stay up. Peace.
Thank you, brother.